In terms of performance to value, depreciated Mercedes might be on top. Today I'm going to prove that to you with 5 cars in particular from the 100k, 50k, 25k, 10k and 5k price ranges. Do hit like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and let me know in the comments down below if there are any other brands you'd like me to do instead. Let's get straight into the video. We're kicking off with our 100k car, the Mercedes AMG GT-R, the track-focused version of the AMG GT and the definitive step up from a sports car to something a bit more exotic. This car is seriously performant, with its Nürburgring lap time of 7 minutes 10 seconds that actually made it the 5th fastest rear-wheel drive production car around the ring at the time, and that's not even in its most potent form, with the AMG GT-R Pro and Black Series trumping it. It's got a top speed of 198 miles per hour, and I'll be honest, even though I absolutely love a track-focused car, I would have to go for the Roadster version just for the flex if I had the choice, although sadly they'll still be out of our price range as they were limited to just 750 examples. These come with a lovely 4-litre twin turbocharged V8 engine, putting out 576 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 3.5 seconds, of course making these by far the most powerful and fastest cars on the list, though it's worth noting that 4 of the 5 cars on this list have over 500 brake horsepower. It actually comes with features specifically designed for track days, including a manually adjustable rear wing as well as manually adjustable suspension. A nice change from simply modifying driving mode, you can actually get under it and get the car running at the right height, stiffness, damping and aero for your track day. They're listed anywhere from around £79,000, and for our 100k limit you'll get yourself a 2019 example with around 20,000 miles on the clock. Outside of a few owners getting into lemons, broadly they've been very strong on reliability with relatively few issues. At the same time though, as they're exotic cars, they carry a far more expensive annual maintenance bill than your average Mercedes, which is why you should instead heed owners' complaints about the brand's poor servicing experiences, of which I've seen quite a few on forums. As we're cutting the price of the car in half, let's drastically increase the size and talk about the Mercedes G63 AMG, which arrived in 2012, picking up where the G55 AMG left off. There was actually a G63 that predated this that arrived back in 2002, but it was a V12 limited to just 5 examples, which is pretty crazy to think about. This one instead came with a 5.5 litre twin turbocharged V8 block that makes 536 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 5.2 seconds, which is not that bad for a car that weighs over 2,500 kilograms. The G55 had a similar supercharged block instead, and in reality the underpinnings and many parts are similar, but that's true across this generation of G-Class, which first arrived back in 1990 and went on to 2018. The G63 still looks a lot more modern though, with a nice facelift, the penultimate one before the end of this generation of G-Class cars. And even though I really am not an SUV guy, I have to respect the levels of abrasion and audacity that come with driving a G-Wagon. I've not driven the G63, but I have cruised around a slightly more recent non-AMG example, and I couldn't believe just how bad the handling was. I suppose it would make sense with the lack of aero, but genuinely these things handle like boxes. But as they've become luxury cars over the years, the interiors are pretty lovely now. They're a long way from the rough and ready cars of the past. These start at around our 50k limit though, so you'll only just be getting into one like this 2012 model with 90,000 miles on the clock. Cam chain rattle was known early doors on these engines, and they've been known to churn through pistons too, but outside of that they're supposedly pretty solid. Plenty of owners have mentioned smaller issues that have gotten on their nerves though, like window regulators and the likes, and of course as a big burly large engine SUV, it's gonna have some aggressive running costs, including £735 annual road tax. Let's drop that price range in half again down to 25k and talk about the Mercedes E63 AMG from the W212 generation. I feel like this is the type of car that you like more the older you get. Early doors you want a C63 or something like that, but the E63 has a more grown-up vibe to it as a slightly bigger, more executive beast. This car originally came with the 6.2 litre V8 block, but in 2011, like the G63, these got a 5.5 litre twin turbocharged V8 engine that makes 549 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 4.2 seconds, so 7/10 slower than the GT-R, which is pretty sick when you consider this comes as only a saloon or estate. You can even get these up closer to the GT-R on performance by going for an S model, which gets to 60 in 3.5 seconds instead. My personal choice would be the estate post 2013 facelift, as though they are starting to look a bit more dated now, they still look pretty exotic for a fast estate. I also think that the estate is the better looking of the two, as though the saloon looks beastie, I think the C63 AMG saloon is better looking, whereas the E63 estate is definitely the better looking speaking of the estates. But the saloon is the one that had some racing pedigree, as roguely it was used in the Australian V8 Supercars Championship. It's only really the bodies that were used for the race cars, with the underpinnings being a full race car of course. £17,000 is the lowest you'll find these listed for, and 25k will get you into a 2015 model that's done around 60,000 miles. Luckily that engine's reliability is very similar to that of the G63 for obvious reasons, and key known issues include the headlights condensing, the transmission feeling jerky which needs a software update, spark plugs going, and similar smaller issues. Aim for one from 2013 onwards to get yourself an updated cooling system too. So I hope you guys are enjoying this video. If you are, then do hit the like button and subscribe as well if you're new, and let me know in the comments down below what is the most iconic Mercedes ever. We're on to the 10k price range now, and a car that is directly related to the previous generation E-Class, the one that we just spoke about. It's the CLS63 AMG, which is a 4-door executive coupe, which I think looks really different out on the road with its unique shape. What makes this car particularly special for the price range though is the engine, a very well loved 6.2 litre V8 block that makes 506 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.4 seconds, which is pretty amazing, as I don't think you can find any other cars under 10k that got that engine block. It's possibly the best sounding V8 to have come out of Europe, and definitely the best sounding V8 on this list. It sounds menacing, but strangely at lower speeds it purrs nicely. It's almost inaudible until you floor it. It's not known for amazing handling, instead it works better as a wafting Grand Tourer, built really as competition for cars like the Porsche 911 Turbo, and despite the dated interior, I still think it would be a nice car for a drive around Europe, minus the petrol costs and with a more modern radio swap. Plus, as Mercedes knew they built something that was both fast and relatively heavy, handling was never going to be the focus, so if anything, it's quite a well-rounded car, having both AMG and luxury DNA. These start at around our 10k limit however, so you'll only just be getting into one, and I found a 2007 model with around 100,000 miles on it. Some issues on these are known to cause high oil consumption, which is quite common in some underappreciated models, and premature wear on areas like the camshaft lobes, lifter buckets and camshaft adjusters are known too. Early examples were known to have head bolt issues too, but at least if anything, the problems with that engine are well known, so it's up to you to work out whether the risk is worth that beautiful V8 soundtrack. We spoke about luxury DNA, and for our 5k car on this list, it's all about luxury with the S500L from the 5th generation S-Class. The L stands for long wheelbase, so these are not just full-size luxury cars but limousines. For their time, these were possibly the most technologically advanced luxury cars you could buy, with some features that were years ahead of the era, like the most kitted out seats imaginable, with ventilation, electric adjustment, heating, air chambers to inflate and deflate the seats in line with how spiritedly you're driving, and a massage function too. And as with most luxury S-Classes, you really want to be in the back of one to really enjoy its benefits, like screens and the additional legroom in the rear. These come with a 5.5 litre V8 engine that makes 382 brake horsepower, by far the lowest on this list, taking the car to 60 in 5.2 seconds, matching the G63, but in reality speed and power isn't really what this car is about. The only sad thing about this price range is you won't be able to get the 2009 facelift model, and I do think that facelift really helps the looks, as the pre-facelift is not my favourite looking S-Class at all. Get yourself a blacked out one that hides some of the bulges and make sure the headlights aren't too condensed, and maybe you'll get over those looks a bit. Plus, when you're inside, hopefully the luxury will distract you. To get into one of these, you need to spend around 3k at the bottom end, and 5k gets you into a high mileage 2006 model. Sadly, this engine was not known for reliability, with major problems affecting the valve seats and chain tensioners in particular. There are plenty of complete engine out issues too, which aren't helpful, and these issues have of course helped the car to drop so much in price. They're also £735 a year on road tax, which sucks. So there we have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. Thanks to the patrons, and click on screen to see some more depreciated BMWs instead.